right, good morning, karibu sana. It is 13th of October 2025. Tunazidi kuhesabu masiku, 79 days to the end of this beautiful year 2025. I don't know if it's been a beautiful year for you.
No.
It hasn't?
No, nimetandikwa lakini the last 2 months are going to be beautiful.
You still have 79 days to change that.
Yes.
All right. For those looking forward to Christmas, it is exactly 73 days to that beautiful day as well. My name is Fred Indimuli. Karibu sana. This is a morning cafe.
My name is Ann Odida. Let's take a look at the local dailies.
All right, the big one here, vita baridi kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. Kijibaridi cha asubuhi. Haya, sawa.
The Daily Nation, from hustlers to dynasties.
On the Standard, release them. Matters to do with the activists in Uganda.
People Daily, after Raila, will ODM rise or fall?
What do you think? And finally on the Star, very long one, I need to breathe in. Foreign jobs lie as rogue recruitment agencies mint cash. Iyon kama to self-explanatory.
Now finally, Business Daily. Kenya loans in yuan surge as dollar share cut by 850 billion shillings.
All right. One more headline that you may not know about, and I think it happened overnight. Moses Kuria declared that he's running for governor of Nairobi.
Okay.
All right. For State of the Nation, we'll be having Kipruto Arap Kirwa. He served as a cabinet minister for agriculture in the Kibaki-1 administration. Kathy Rungu, governance expert, will be with us alongside Fwamba NC Fwamba. Na hiyo NC sijai leo alisema nimtumie mpesa ndio nitajua jina inamaanisha nini. He's a political analyst. They'll be here at 6:30. Being a Monday,
Monday Blitz will be joining us starting 8 a.m. Frederico Katela Macy and of course Duncan Mutua for weekend sports.
Yes, of
analysis.
course, it's been an international break, so a lot of international sports in as far as football is concerned. Twende regional, na tunaanza pale na the East African. Na maswala ya Kenya is all over the front page of this paper. The president is there on the front page. The main headline is about Kenyan senators. Kenyan senators decry border toll stations. On the Ugandan side of the Northern Corridor, too many roadblocks. Legislators were told they want Kampala to address this. And this is because last week we had Senate Mashinani. They were in Busia, which is a border town next to Uganda. And these are some of the complaints that those people from Busia let our senators know. That's why it features on the front page of this paper. Hapa chini we have matters COMESA, and we have President William Ruto alongside his Burundian counterpart, Evariste Ndayishimiye. And here, President Ruto is receiving the COMESA authority instruments from the outgoing COMESA chairperson, Evariste Ndayishimiye of Burundi, during the 24th COMESA Summit of Heads of State and Government in Nairobi. And looking on is the COMESA Secretary General, Chileshe Kapwepwe. Now, that means that now, President William Ruto is not just the East Africa Community Chairperson, he's also the COMESA Chairperson. Yes, anakalia viti vingi sana. All right. No longer at ease in Juba, Kir shuffles his security and economy chiefs every few months amid legitimacy queries and matters Rwanda and Congo bickering over US deal. Tshisekedi wants Kagame to recall his troops, but Kigali says he's engaging in sideshows. That's the East African. Let's go specifically to Uganda.
Daily Monitor, puzzle of the 4 million no-show voters. Civic duty, and despite millions more Ugandans registering to vote in every cycle across the last 6 general election, that is from 1996 to 2021, figures from the Electoral Commission show that 4.3 million registered voters on average have boycotted the polls, leaving their fate in the hands of those who cast the ballot. Now, at least how are registered to vote? Kenyans were not registering to vote.
And even when it comes to those who have registered but do not vote, I think the numbers are worse off in Kenya. As at 2022 elections, I think 8 million did not vote. There it's 4.3 million. So like double. We are doing worse, twice as bad.
So Ugandans are saying Museveni tena. All right. Jacob Kiplimo dominates field to win Chicago Marathon. This happened yesterday, and he broke the tip in 2 hours, 2 minutes and 23 seconds in second race over the distance. He crossed the finish line 1 minute and 31 seconds ahead of Amos Kipruto of Kenya, while Kenyan Alex Masai was third. And Kiplimo became the first Ugandan to win a world marathon major. He finished second in his marathon debut in London this year.
Watu wakisikia Kiplimo wanasema tu ni Mkenya. Wewe si Mkenya, wewe ni wa Uganda. Wakenya walikuwa number 2.
All right. On the top strip, festival lights up Kampala city streets. That's the Daily Monitor this morning.
All right. And it's interesting how Kampalans have fun. You know, the other week we hosted the Ugandan consular chief for Mombasa here. And they were saying, actually, one of the tourist attractions in Uganda is Kampala nights.
Oh, wow.
And you're saying, just come to Kampala and you'll experience a
At
good
night.
A good night, yes.
All right.
That's a Daily Monitor. Staying in Uganda, we have the new vision. Orombi endorses President Museveni. NRM supporters paint Zombo navy yellow. The campaigns do continue. And on the front page of this paper today, wamefanya kama vile wafanya Tanzania. Wameweka tu Museveni. Hao wengine wangoje. But at least they've mentioned NUP down here. NUP has launched a manifesto. Meanwhile, Nandala has been traversing Lango. Those are two different parties. NUP ni ile ya Chagulani, Bobby Wine, hiyo ingine ni tofauti. So Matters campaigns for 2026 still making big headlines in Uganda. Justice entities on the sport of a land, that's a different story, but that's the only non-political story on the front page of the New Vision. Let's cross over to Tanzania.
We start off with the Citizen. BRT Phase 2 trials begin amid optimism and anxiety, and the start of services on the second phase of the BRT is set to complement other modes of public transport used by tens of thousands of people commuting daily between the city center and the densely populated suburb of Mbagala. And according to Boda Boda leader in Mbagala, that is Mr. Said Hamis, anasema we don't see the BRT as competition. It has come to fill gaps in public transport. Mbagala has many passengers, and even after using the BRT, they still need to reach their homes. That's where they as Boda Bodas come in. Now, sometime last week, we saw how they were scrambling to get into this BRT. This will definitely be a game changer for them. Tanzania is still absent as Africa's startup funding tops $2.2 billion shillings. And Samia's plan to uplift small-scale miners in Geita, Shinyanga regions. Campaign continues in Uganda ahead of ahead of October 27th or 9th? 29th.
So actually they should have put that countdown here, because today being the 13th means exactly 16 days to election day minus 2.
They have it.
They only have, so they only have 14 days, 2 weeks to campaign. 16 days to go to the elections.
Election day 2025, and Electoral Commission accesses 10 wards and moves 292 polling stations. Matters election there. Sobering facts, matters health. Are you a man who loves their drink? This newspaper has news for you on page 13.
Wachana na sisi.
That's the Citizen.
Gazeti la Mwananchi, mauaji ya askari Arusha yashtua. Wiki mbili kabla ya uchaguzi. Wana habari nyingine. Ingekuwa ni Kenya, wacha tu. Huyu jamaa apigwa na kitu kizito kichwani. Jeshi la polisi Arusha ladai alizidiwa na kilevi akiwa baa, la washikilia watuhumiwa 5. Huyu jamaa aliuawa kule Arusha mjini. Anasema kwa bahati mbaya alifungua na kuingia katika gari lingine lililokuwa jirani ambalo halikufungwa na funguo, akidhani ni lake bila kujua kumbe halikuwa la kwake. Ni msemaji wa polisi Justin Masejo, kamanda wa polisi Arusha. Lakini masuala ya kisiasa yazidi kupewa kipaumbele kwenye ukurasa wa mbele. Sio habari kuu, lakini kuna habari pale. Samia awapa ujumbe vijana kuilinda nchi. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa 4. Samia Suluhu Hassan azidi kuendeleza kampeni zake za urais. Wale wengine 16 hawana nafasi kwenye ukurasa wa mbele. Dira za mwaka 2050 na mustakabali wa mfumo wa elimu ni habari nyingine kwenye ukurasa wa 6. Na mgombea kutoa $500,000 kwa kila mwananchi Zanzibar. $500,000 for every person in Zanzibar. Unajua ingekuwa ni Kenya, you can't talk about such figures. Mgombea urais wa Zanzibar wa tiketi ya chama cha Makini Amir Hassan Amir sema atatoa $500,000, $500,000 shillings, Tanzanian money, for every person in Zanzibar.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Reminds me that Nyota Fund
but that
begins
is only
today.
for 100,000.
Interviews.
It begins today.
Interviews begins today across the country.
Enda upate hiyo shilingi 50,000. Kauli wananchi mwendo kasi Mbagala ikitesti mitambo baada ya kuanza kwa majaribio ya mabasi yaendayo haraka BRT maarufu mwendo kasi. Leo wanazidisha kutesti mitambo, na uchaguzi Tanzania bado siku 16. So those are the regional dailies, and we'll be back to take a look at the local ones in depth in a short while. kabla tukuje kwa hizi karakacha. So for now, let's take a look at the weather situation in the region. We witnessed quite some trends last week, and let's start in the Rift Valley today. In Eldoret, a chilly morning, 12 degrees Celsius there. It promises to be a cloudy day with some rainfall expected in the afternoon. Highs of 24 degrees, and this highs will portend for the rest of the week, getting even wetter towards the weekend. And as far as precipitation is concerned, today 3.1 millimeters of rainfall in Eldoret. Let's go to the Lake Victoria Basin.
20 degrees in Homa Bay this morning, feels like 24. It's a mostly cloudy day here. Highs of 29 degrees and precipitation in Homa Bay, 1.3 millimeters. That's the weather in Homa Bay.
They also do expect some rainfall towards the weekend, although the temperatures will still remain high at 29. Further up north in Turkana, it's even hotter, 27 degrees. Imagine unaamka and it's 27 degrees out. Yeah. Promises to be a cloudy day, highs of 34 degrees. 34, believe you me, will be the lowest that they're experiencing this week, because by Friday it will be 37, getting into the weekend. Up, I don't expect any rainfall. Muspende 0.0 millimeters in Eldoret. Very hot there. Mount Kenya region.
It's 14 degrees in Meru. Feels like 13. It's a mostly cloudy day. Highs of 24, and precipitation in Meru today 0.6 millimeters. Less 24 will persist throughout the week.
Right. Pale coastal region in Kilifi, also quite warm this morning, 24 degrees, mostly cloudy, highs of 29 degrees, and this 29 will persist for the rest of the week, so not much of a difference. A bit of precipitation this morning, 1.3 millimeters in Kilifi. And finally, Nairobi.
This morning is 15 degrees, feels like it. It's a mostly cloudy day, highs of 26. Precipitation in the capital city, 0.4 millimeters. A little bit of showers, kuanzia sasa asubuhi, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.
It promises to be a very warm week. You can see 26, 26, 26, 26, 26. I think it will only drop on Sunday, 25, then back to 26. So a warm week in Nairobi. Ile ya kuvaa vest tukifika nyumbani. All right. From the weather, we take a look at the traffic situation this Monday. We had already noticed some issue on Thika Road even before 6 a.m. and this is between Kasarani and the Garden City Mall interchange, and yes, it is still there. You can see this stretch of red along Thika Road, yeah, all the way from Kasarani to the Garden City Mall. This means that you cannot pass that place. Kuna traffic between Kasarani and Garden City Mall. So anyone who's using Thika Road, if you can avoid that stretch, probably if you are further up huko Ruiru, you can use the bypasses towards town, because kuna problem pale Githurai, and then after that, after Kasarani, all the way to the Garden City Mall kuna shida. But that means that after Garden City, after the Allsops, after that it's green all the way. Pangani interchange for this time of day is actually quite fair traffic. So guys from Kembu Road will enjoy their trip to town this morning. Other areas of the city, Outer Ring Road is unusually green. Even areas like karibu niseme Five Line, Feather, Pipeline, and Tasia. Jogoo Road, kale kawaida tu pale Makadara kidogo, pale St. Stephen's, Jogoo Road. After that, it's smooth all the way. Muthura is not looking bad, but if you see a stretch of yellow there, it means there'll be heavy traffic. And you can actually see it on Haile Selassie Avenue this morning, a dark red, all the way from Landis Road, Pakapale Railways roundabout. Other major tributaries into town are looking green. From the airport into town, it's looking good. All the way from Kabete into the city center, it's not bad at all. Adams Arcade on Gong Road is also looking good. So is the Southern Bypass, Langata Road, and Bagadi Way. So the biggest problem this morning is on Thika Road between Naime Stretch Sasa. Nilikuwa nasema Garden City Mall. It's actually at Allsops. So all the way from Kasarani to Allsops, chock-a-block this morning.
All right, that's the traffic situation, 6:15 a.m. Let's have the quarter of the day. Find out who you are and do it on purpose.
All right, let's come back and take a look at the local dailies in depth. Alright, vita baridi ndio habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. Ni kati ya nani na nani, sura zao zimewekwa pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele. Anasema sasa wandani wa Matiang'i watishia kujiondoa muungano wa upinzani iwapo Gachagua hata koma kuwadunisha. Siasa. Kioni, Munya na washirika wengine wa Uhuru Kenyatta wasema kuna kigogo wa kisiasa katika muungano wa upinzani ambaye amekuwa kiwaudharau mrengo wa Matiang'i. Kuna mmoja lakini hawataki kutaja jina. Kuna mmoja anasumbua sana lakini hataki kusema jina. Hata tujui ni nani. Acheni maneno yenu. Unajua juzi tuliona kwa gazeti Matiang'i alikuwa ameketi na nani? Na Munya na kaketi na Natembea. Hata akasema hapana, walikuwa wanaenda mazishi. Sasa watu wakipigwa picha wakienda mazishi ni shida. Sasa si ndio huyu Munya hapa? Kioni na Munya na washirika wengine wa Uhuru Kenyatta wasema kuna kigogo wa kisiasa katika muungano wa upinzani ambaye akiudharau mrengo wa Matiang'i. Gachagua amewahi kuwataka wanaomezea mate tiketi ya urais ya upinzani wadhihirishe ufuasi wao mashinani, mbali na kumwonya Matiang'i dhidi ya kutumia Jubilee kuwania kura katika uchaguzi mkuu wa 2027. Kuna ile kitu inaitwa micromanagement. Kuna mtu mmoja anataka kuambia hapana, kama unataka wewe fanya hivi, usifanye vile unataka wewe, fanya vile mimi nakuambia. Na ukikataa tutakosana. Nini inaleta shida sana. Wacha Waziri Kiro atakuja kutueleza. Unajua yeye anatetea, anasema hapana, hizi ni malumbano ya kisiasa, ni kama ndugu wanakosana hapa na pale kidogo, lakini hii hata kama ni vita baridi imezidi sana bwana.
Waende walete votes kutoka huko home.
Ameambiwa asilete za Jubilee, aende huko
Kisii.
Nyaribari Masaba na Nyaribari Chacha, lete za huko tuhesabu. Anyway. Kando na masuala ya siasa, vidokezo zaidi. Gachagua alia wafuasi kujeruhiwa. Ni watu wawili walijeruhiwa baada ya kuvamiwa Runyenjes wakati wa kampeni. Wale goons bado wanatumwa kuleta vurugu kwenye mikutano ya kisiasa. Kwingine, migomo, wazazi walalama shule kuwatoza faini kali. Walalama kuwa shule zinawanyanyasa kwa faini zinazotozwa bila wao kushirikishwa. Ni kama shule moja, nafikiri ni Litein, ambao wazazi waliambiwa kila mmoja atoe 70,000. Kiwa mtoto wako atarudi shuleni utoe 70,000.
50,000.
No, it was 70,000. The entire school fees for the whole year is not even 70,000. But sasa pengine mtoto anaenda kumaliza shule, alafu naambiwa walichoma shule last week, sasa utoe 70,000 ndio aweze kuendelea. Kwa kuwa mzazi pia ni kazi. Habari nyingine hapa. Mtuhumiwa wa ushirikina, rais wa Ushelisheli. Hamini aendeleza wimbi la one term Afrika baada ya kutoa urais kwa kumshinda rais aliondoka. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa 8. Nchi nyingine ya Afrika sasa imekuwa one term pia. Pale juu mihadarati, kampuni ya Kuria za mulikwa, yafichua baadhi ya kampuni hizo kusafirisha dawa za kulevya. Na masuala ya spoti, kombe la dunia ni lala salama, timu 9 zikibainika. Timu 4 tayari zimejulikana, nyingine 5 kufuzu kati ya leo na kesho. Gazeti la Taifa Leo.
All right, let's move on to the Daily Nation. From hustlers to dynasties, Ruto changes tune and he swept to power on a campaign anchored on attacking prominent political families. He blamed for the suffering of a majority of Kenyans, but in the quest to craft a winning re-election strategy, President Ruto is courting the backing of the so-called dynasties. And he's quoted there. He once said, I have had conversations with Raila Odinga. I have engaged my brother Uhuru Kenyatta. I have engaged many, including Gideon-Moi recently. I will continue to engage all the leaders so that we transform this country into a first world country in our lifetime, because it's possible. That goal is to be a world-class country by 2050. That is 30 years from
a
now.
third world country.
From a third world country to go first world.
Ameongea na Uhuru na ameongea na Raila na ameongea na Gideon-Moi. Mbona wao wengine hasla waulizwi kama tunaweza kuwa first world country? Wani sisi hatujui, sisi mahasla.
Hasla unaweza.
Hatujui njia ya kuenda kwa first world.
Hii ni game ya dynasties, and the saying game plan president says he will woo more opposition figures. Bado safari.
Kuna dynasty mwingine ni kama atajoin serikali. Wamemtaja jina sana. Acha tungoje tuone.
Other quick headlines here. School riots, Spain, fury over hefty fees. And this is on page 8. They say parents complain that unruly students have become a cash cow for schools that are imposing exorbitant fines on all learners to finance reconstruction after destruction of property during riots. And they're also faulting the schools over the heavy financial burden imposed on them as the school managers capitalize on strikes to make a killing, with additional demands for payment of all fee arrears prior to readmission of the students. This is on page 8, and I'm sure they make mention of Litain boys as well. We'll take a look at it now. I mentioned something that Litain boys were to contribute 50,000. It's actually 50,000, not 70,000. They make mention of it in this newspaper. They say 49,699. That is the amount in Kenyan shillings that each student at Litain Boys High School is required to pay for damages caused during a recent riot. Family of Kenyan murdered by British soldier takes fight for justice to Britain. Another story there on page 2. Courier farms, now the new drug mules. That story is on page 7. On the back page of the Daily Nation this morning, it's a Kenyan affair at Nyayo, but bigger test await the two teams. Kenya Shujaa retain the men's crown as Kenya Lionesses regain the women's title after fine displays on home soil. Safari Sevens, good show by the home nation, bodes well for upcoming international and continental assignments. And Harambee Stars safe and sound in Abidjan, raring to tackle the Elephants in World Cup qualifiers. Mata Sports, Monday Blades watakuwa hapa kutuambia zaidi na zaidi. That's the Daily Nation this morning.
From the Daily Nation, we take a look at the Standard. Na siku hizi wamegeuza hata siasa ni kama waguzi, siku hizi ni kama walisonga mbele. Wanasema release them. For nearly 2 weeks, the families of activists Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo have endured a tormenting silence after their abduction in Uganda. With both Kenyan and Ugandan governments offering little clarity, fears are mounting that the two Free Kenya movement leaders are being held incommunicado by Ugandan security forces. Their disappearance has sparked outrage among civil society groups who see it as part of growing pattern of cross-border repression in East Africa. And it's the two activists who are in Uganda now, hatujui tuko wapi, so the Ugandan flag on the front page of the Standard. Standard, this is the only story they have on the front page. Na siku hizi sielewi ni kwa nini, lakini ni kama wamelegeza kamba ile ya kufinya kisiasa, ni kama wamewacha. Sielewi ni kwa nini na sisemi hata kama ninajua. Lakini ni kama wamewacha. Walikuwa wameleta, walikuwa wamekuja, walikuwa na kanyanga shingo. Sasa ni kama wameacha. Kule ndani Rigathi tu Uhuru amesema retire in peace and stay out of national politics. Unajua kitambo Rigathi Gachagua alikuwa anasema no, my brother Uhuru Kenyatta is our own son. No one should tell him anything, hata mtu asimjibu. Lakini juzi alimwambia wewe usharetire, wewe ondoka sasa. Ondoka. Gazeti la The Standard, kule nyuma ni masuala ya Safari Sevens kama what we've seen on the Daily Nation. And on the inside pages, and as far as sports is concerned, coming from an international break, a lot of the results from different national games. All right, that's a Standard.
People Daily, after Raila, will ODM rise or fall is a question they ask on page 5 of this newspaper. And they say surviving 2 decades as a dominant party in Kenya's volatile politics is a testament to the ex-Prime Minister's unifying force. That same strength, however, is also a weakness as the party's identity and his are so intertwined, it is almost impossible to imagine one without the other. I
saw a tweet, one of the noisiest tweet people on X. The MP for Homa Bay Town, Peter Kaluma. Huwa anaongea mingi. Jana usiku amepost to Raila, please come back. Baba, please come back. You know, I think there's a lot of fear. If Raila even just exits the political scene, there are people who just fear that. They just try to imagine that thing and they can't comprehend. They cannot even believe their own existence, political existence without Raila Odinga. So that's the analysis that People Daily is trying to bring out, that after Raila, will ODM rise or fall? But will individual MPs even have any standing or grounding anywhere in Kenya? Yeah, without Raila Odinga.
And they're saying older generations did not nurture the younger generation now. Now that is the problem facing
The day
ODM.
of reckoning is coming. Peter Kaluma, the day of reckoning is coming. Kama hujajipanga kule mashinani, baba anaweza amua hapana, mimi nimeenda nyumbani na sifanyi siasa tena.
Awizi, usiogope. And they're saying talk of succession is growing louder with possible heirs, each presenting their strengths, but none has the former premier's national reach or his emotional bond with the masses. Wengine umeambiwa nyetu ni digital pale, lakini kwa ground hamna hiyo nguvu ya Raila. Ruto's silent power play, crushing the opposition or mastering the game, is another story or analysis on page 7. Legacy and leadership, people and politics, People Daily.
All right. Then the longest headline I've seen this morning is on the Star. This one you have to breathe in first before you read it. Foreign jobs lie as rogue recruitment agencies mint cash. The stories on pages 4 and 5 of this paper. For many young people, dream of job abroad ends in blood and silence. Now, the most unfortunate thing is government's involvement in this process. The government, the Labour CS came out and said, we are doing this. It is the government's policy. We're taking people to Canada. We're taking people to the Gulf. We're taking people here and elsewhere. But now, agencies that are doing this are just simply minting cash. What are in the Mali? You're being conned through agencies or through a program linked to the government. You see, now that's a pain. Whether it's through government inaction, actions of commission or omission, either way, the government should take the blame on this one. You're the one who brought this idea forth. So if at all people are taking advantage of it to con Kenyans, wewe ndo unafaa ujibu maswali. Maswali ya siasa, ignore planless opposition, says Ruto, revealing his talks with Uhuru, Raila, and of course, Gideon Moi. Yesterday I was at a church somewhere in Nairobi, and we see a photo there with members of the clergy and the Nairobi governor. Newfound happiness relief for families in Kwale after mining resettlement plan is another story given prominence on this paper. And finally, tough law coming to crack down on girl predators and sexual violence offenders. That's the Star. And as far as opinion, pale juu, Wycliffe Muga talks about the Gen Z indifference to democratic process. We'll be talking about this in a while with my panelists as well.
Finally, Business Daily. Kenya loans in yuan surge as dollar share cut by 850 billion shillings. And they say the portion of yuan loans in Kenya's external debt increased after the Treasury converted 3 standard gauge railway, that is the SGR facilities, from dollars to Chinese currency, reducing the dollar's weight in the portfolio by about that amount, that is 850 billion shillings. Now, according to Treasury data, that converting $3.5 billion in SGR facilities to Chinese yuan would cut the dollar share of external debt to 44%. That is about 2.37 trillion shillings. And it falls below 50% for the first time in 11 years. This story is on page 2. And the Treasury Cabinet Secretary has been featured inside this newspaper with that story there. UK's actors and Indian real estate giant exit Mevida Homes. That's another story on page 2 as well. On the ticker, court blocks refund to tycoon in big trademark dispute. EABL to pay 11 billion shillings corporate bond early, and stockbroker nominees join Nairobi Securities Exchange to ease tensions. That's the Business Daily. Those are the local dailies this morning.
All right. Just a reminder that these are the individuals who will be in studio to help us discuss the big headlines. Waziri Kipruto Rapkirwa, governance expert Kathy Rungu, and political analyst Fwamba NC Fwamba. In a few minutes' time, do stand by for that conversation. Later on, being a Monday, we'll be having Monday Blitz, a discussion on the weekend sports. It's been an international break, and as far as football matters are concerned, Katela Macy, Fred Arocho, and Duncan Mutua will be in studio for that conversation. Tuangazie karakacha, wachoraji kwenye magazeti wanazungumzia nini. This will give us an indication of what is big. And we start off with this one, the cartoon on the Daily Nation, talking about matters voter registration. 3 frames here. 1, voter registration, IBC pale hakuna kazi inafanyika, watu wanalala. As of Thursday last week, actually Friday last week, only 20,000 Kenyans had turned up to register against a potential of about 6.3 million Kenyans. Here, in as far as percentages are concerned, let's not even calculate that. So apathy in as far as elections is concerned. But then when the regrets come, because you failed to register, you failed to vote, munaenda kwa street, munapiga kelele mukisema one term and you must go. Lakini mulikosa kupiga kura, mulikosa kuregister. Then the regrets are coming later. That's a cartoonist take on the Daily Nation, and I think I love this take.
The Standard, why does the government hire goons to disrupt opposition rallies? Kuna watu wanawatch hapa TV, and the former deputy president has been caricatured inside that television. And the response is, I guess that is part of their manifesto, job creation, hiring of goons.
Because the goons ni career path. Unakuwa goon. It's a profession in itself. The cartoon on the People Daily has a caricature of the president at a table. On one side akona chungwa la ODM, sasa akona kuku ile jogoo ya KANU. Anakula na enjoy hapa machungwa na ni balanced diet. Amebakisha nini hapa sasa? Mboga hivi itatoka wapi? Ni chama gani iko na mboga hivi ama ugali? Akona chungwa, akona kuku. Anasema pale, in order to make it a balanced diet, I need a wiper on my menu. Huyu ametoka hafichi kabisa. Wanasema because the indication is he's targeting one individual in the wiper, in the United Opposition formation. According to this this cartoonist, it's definitely wipers Kalonzo Musyoka.
All right. Finally, this is the newspaper gani?
The Star.
The Star, right. Kuna Windsock pale, Seychelles, Madagascar and Malawi, lakini kuna African presidents here, they're saying, I don't like these wins. Now, this is in accordance with how leadership roles have changed in this country. Seychelles, Madagascar and Malawi. The latest one being Malawi.
No, Seychelles is actually the latest one.
Seychelles is the latest one, yeah?
Yes. The winds of change.
The winds of change, where Patrick Hemini, right, he took over.
Yes.
Madagascar bado kuna protest kile, the last election was in 2023. Malawi, Mutharika took over one term after who? Chakwera? Lazarus Chakwera. Yeah. African presidents are here. I don't like these wins. We see President William Ruto here. Kuna Mnangagwa, Kagame, Samia Suluhu, Yoweri Museveni.
Lakini pale wasiki Museveni na Kagame si watu wa one term. Okay, fine. They may be scared of change, but sio one term. People who could be scared of one term are people like Samia Suluhu and even Tshisekedi has survived an election. William Ruto probably ndo anaogopa hii change hapa ya one term. Well, but this is according to the cartoonist on the Star. Mimi sijasema kitu, winds of change. Mimi nasoma habari vile zinakuja as they come. We only do the headlines here. All
right. Those are the local dailies and stories making headlines this morning, but do interact with us on our socials. That is TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, on X at TV47 Digital. My handle on X is at @Ann_Odida. The hashtag is Morning Cafe TV47. Your handle?
My handle on X is at Fred Indimuli. And I'm trying to look for a bit of your feedback. Can you trace any?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right, yes, some of it here, and I think this is on YouTube. Pamoja, Peter Wagashosho says, Caprice Lightbringer says, Raila the face, hands and feet of ODM. He sold people a narrative they got so hooked onto that they were willing to fight on his command. Anyways, good morning. Stano Wagashareka, good morning. Wamasi wa Kamwangi Ngoge, pamoja sana, ndani kabisa. There's someone else hapa nimeona. More, still on YouTube, I think, yes. Dota Nanji says, live from Busia, Teso. Solomon Wanyonyi, live from Namilama, Massive, Bungoma County. Gladson Obwamu, good morning, Super Duo. Another great day to be happy and hopeful. Good morning, Gladson. Sam Baba Wayne, watching live from Wakape area, Bisusu, Bungoma. And he says, good morning, I'm watching live from this area. Thank you so much and keep it here. Morning Cafe TV47.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upwards, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
You're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water.
Yes, should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent survival.
Speaking in Nairobi during a church service, President Ruto defended the broad-based government. The president says he has engaged over 80% of opposition leaders, including former President Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Odinga, and KANU's Gideon-Moi on how to move the country forward.
Nimezungumza na viongozi wengi katika taifa letu la Kenya. Nimeongea na wabunge almost 80% of parliament, one-on-one, to explain to them how we are going to move this country from a third world country to a first world country.
The president says the country has been in the third world for far too long. Ruto says the country will move to a first world in 30 years, accusing some of doubting the possibility.
We have what it takes. We have the ideas. We have the knowledge. We have the plan. We have the people. And we have the resources to move this country from a third world country to a first world country in our lifetime by 2055.
This week, the Independence Party, KANU, through its chairman Gideon-Moi, agreed to work with the Kenya Kwanza Alliance under the broad-based government arrangement. The two, President Ruto and Gideon-Moi, could later address a grassroots leaders meeting in Kabarak, Nakuru County.
Only 3 years, we've seen that it is possible to build 170,000 housing units. In this Nairobi alone, hii Nairobi,
maeneo mengi katika jiji letu kupitia ile ushirikiano ambao tuko nayo na wewe tumeweza kupata zaidi sasa maji ambapo pia hapa pata unajua faidika na ile maji zaidi ambayo imekuja katika jiji la Nairobi of 140 million liters additional.
The president said he had reached out to Moi because of his determination to unite Kenyans and rally the country towards a national transformation agenda. The move has, however, received criticism by those in the opposition. The leaders spoke during the 70th celebration of AIC Ziwani at Starehe Boys Grounds, Nairobi on Sunday. Joash Onsare, TV 47, Nairobi.
And that story by Joash Onsare now forms the basis of our first discussion this morning. It is also featuring on the front page of the Daily Nation, from hustlers to dynasties. We're just picking that angle on the people that the president chose to list as the people whom he has consulted on how to turn this country from a third world country to a first world, and what that means for the politics going forward. Allow me to introduce my panelists this morning. Waziri Kipruto Rapkirwa, who served as Minister for Agriculture in the Kibaki One administration. Before that, he was the MP for Cherangani for quite a number of terms. Karibu sana, Bwana Kirwa.
Thank you.
Governance expert Kathy Rungu joins us. She's also a member of the Jubilee Party. We'll be talking about that as well later. Karibu sana, Kathy. And Fwamba NC Fwamba, political analyst. I saw Kathy and Fwamba trying to whisper a few things before the show. They'll be telling us more about that.
Okay, good morning, Fred, and good morning, viewers.
Yes, good morning, definitely, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start from there. And at a time when people expected that every big-time politician would be going for the youth vote and focusing on the youth who have been very agitated for the last 1-2 years or so, President William Ruto appears not bothered by that. Instead, he's more bothered by a different group that he had already declared he would never work with, the dynasties. He alone has been able now to bring together, and according to his words, he's talked to Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Odinga, and now Gideon-Moi. The same names he used during his campaigns to call them dynasties, now are his closest friends.
Well, these are interesting times, Fred, because I think Ruto has realized he has also graduated into the level of dynasties, and this therefore means that he's going for his colleagues. Those of us who are still hustlers might have to find our own labels in terms of the political wave that is likely to take shape in the next 1 or 2 years. As to whether the young people are not interested in voting in the next election, perhaps I still, with the benefit of the experience that I have, Kenyans do not necessarily rush into things at the beginning of time. But towards the tail end of this exercise, I'm very positive many Kenyans will have registered. The 6 million or so that we expect to register will have registered. I would also want to beseech the IBC to spend more time publicizing and also at the right time take it closer to the people. When you talk of constituency office, not many people are likely to have that kind of luxury. I take it, for example, Cherangani constituency, which I represented in the past, is more than 41 kilometers from one end to the other. And that means there is a bit of challenge when it comes to transportation. We should be thinking on rolling out a program that takes the voter, the voter closer to the place of registration. And of course, we would want to urge those who want to change from one station to the other to do so now in the intervening period. But they are very interesting times. As I always say, in politics, you don't expect everything to be smooth. You expect some feathers to be unruffled, and that's what is happening.
Were you shocked to see Gideon-Moi in State House or William Ruto in Kabarak?
No, I was not only shocked, I was disappointed. Personally, I would want to tell my brother Gideon, if Ruto was actually a very honest person, he would have sat down with Gideon, allowed him to run, and wooed his party to Kenya Kwanza. But you see, it is like he's decimating his political career. We would have expected, coming from the same community as the two of them come, I would have expected Gideon to play a greater role beyond 2032. Why am I saying so? There is historical kind of parallel that Uhuru in the second term of Kibaki never ran against Kibaki, but Kibaki still allowed him to roll out a number of, in a number of constituencies where he won some parliamentary seats and other seats within those constituencies, so that he has a start towards the presidency. I'm not suggesting that Gideon should be the next president after Ruto, but in terms of political hygiene, you cannot just tell somebody who is about to get a seat, no, don't go for this seat so that we saw unity. What kind of unity? Gideon could have easily become more useful to him if he was allowed to be the senator of Baringo, so that they negotiate at the level of party leaders. The other one being the chairman, Ruto being the party leader of UDA.
Okay.
But when you do that, it shows the level of deceit, the level of greed, and the level of dismissal of individuals that you don't consider very important.
Right.
When he's talking about Raila, Uhuru, and Gideon, these are the people he lumped together and he said, these are the dynasties. Perhaps, as I said at the beginning, he has realized also he has joined the dynasties, and perhaps he thinks he's the only one who can protect them. But people, you don't have to get protection from an individual. The people of Kenya will respect their former presidents or people who have seen to have occupied high offices in the past.
All right. Coming from the Jubilee Party and hearing the president name-dropping like that and quoting President Uhuru Kenyatta among the people he's working with now, you're not going to be able to beat these allegations that probably there are links, the Jubilee Party, with the broad-based arrangement going forward. There's a lot of mistrust with the united opposition. Do you agree that things are not as black and white as probably you would have hoped?
Thank you very much, Indimuli. I think, first of all, it is very important for us to set the record straight that the Jubilee Party is actually not part of the broad-based government, and that is a fact. However, some time back, and I remember we had that conversation here, the current president reached out to his predecessor, and he visited him, and later after we saw a couple of our Jubilee members join his cabinet, and that is the CS Mutahi Kagwe, Kinyanjui, and it was in good faith because he requested to be supported, or rather, of course, you know what was happening at that particular time. We were going through the turmoils, and he had also almost proved to us that he was unable to govern, and maybe he needed that support. So it is not the first time that he has reached out to experts and to people that he thought would add value to his executive, but that doesn't mean that we are part of his the Ruto's broad-based government. We are not. And if you listened to the former president during our special NDC, he came out very clear that Jubilee Party is not part of the Kenya Kwanza government. What I see personally is a Ruto who is desperate to bring on board other key players in the nation's politics, perhaps just to show that we are working at one, of course, to leverage and to try and woo a few of their supporters to his side. I don't think that is going to add any value politically, because, you know, in these countries, politics, as you know it, and all of us here do, we say that the only thing that changes is actually the forest. The monkeys are the same. Mm-hmm. So we've, since the time we had one single party state up to now, we've seen people come together, and the only thing that changes is the outfit, the coalition, the whatever political vehicle they want to use. So it's not really new. But we need to be very wary of the fact that the people we are dealing with and the electorate, people are actually woke. And I know this is something we keep talking about here with you. The language of whether you're coming together as the big four or the big families or the dynasty or whatever we want to call them does not guarantee Ruto a second term. And I say this because there's a very large constituency that Ruto does not appeal to. And these are the young people. In fact, it is the millennials and the young people. So are we lost? I mean, as political players in this country, I think we are trying to do things the same way we've done all the years, but we are dealing with a completely new group of voters. And unless we wake up to that call and realize that people can see through these gimmicks, then I think we'll continue to.
They're yet to become voters, though, and the president is not a novice in this world of politics. He must see that there are potential dividends from this kind of union to go back to the same big families, as it were, probably for his own political survival. Definitely, there must be something that he knows that many people may not be seeing. Bonafwamba.
For me, I think the president made a good move. It is commendable that is reaching out to other leaders. You know, during campaigns, people have certain slogans or certain narratives that help them to win. But now when it comes to governing, you need to bring everybody on board. You cannot continue with the narrative of having that you're working with hustlers alone or working with the dynasties alone. After elections as a leader, it is right that you put together all Kenyans and work with them, whether they are hustlers, dynasties, or whatever titles they are given. So I will encourage the president to continue reaching out. Now that he has promised that he's reaching out, he should reach out to dynasties and also reach out to various hustlers that are not yet accommodated within that government of his. As far as the youth issue is concerned, what Kathy has mentioned, I do not think if there is anything that is so significantly new as far as the youth movement is concerned. Remember, in 2007, is it 2007, was the best time that I ever saw a well-organized youth movement, Vijana Tugutuke, that was being coordinated by Koki Muli and Nyambane, Kajairo, and KJ. They moved around the country to try to mobilize people to register as voters. That was the greatest arrangement among the youth in terms of mobilizing for registration. But unfortunately, what happens in this country is that every youth movement at their own given time think that they're the best. Remember, when we were growing up, we were told that for Martin Shikuku to become prominent as a youth leader, he worked with a Jogo in this town. So at that time, the youth movement was led by Martin Shikuku around 1963. So for us who were born in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, I have no idea about that kind of youth movement. Then those of us who were around at that time when we were student leaders, we also think that we were the best at that time. Those ones who are emerging today and organizing demonstrations think that this is it. But now you've seen the registration numbers are not even reflecting the kind of narratives that are being advanced. Something else that I wanted
now, before you move on from that, because you've given a comparison of the youth movements over time.
Yes.
And the issue is that those youth movements have been very consequential in the fight for multi-party democracy.
Yes.
Are you saying that this time around the youth movement may not be as consequential as what we've seen?
No, they were consequential, but they are not working exclusively as youth movements. Like if you look at 1997, NCEC was a conglomeration of different leaders of different levels. There was no labeling that these are youth, these are the old people, these are the retired. We don't have that kind of categorization. And that's where some people have really gone wrong to think that there's something called the youth constituency. Ultimately, when it comes to election decisions, people will be following their leaders. I'm very sure that an average youth in Siaya will follow the Raila Odinga decision. And those ones in Central will maybe follow former President Uhuru Kenyatta or another leader that will emerge. So it is not so homogeneous that the youth of Western will vote the same way the youth of Ukambani will vote. It will depend on the narratives that will be within their localities that will make them make that decision. And that's why you are seeing these registrations of new voters not as exciting in terms of the narratives of we are going to get rid of so-and-so or going to elect so-and-so.
Yes.
So that's why.
The headline seems to suggest that the president has moved on from
I do not
that
think
hustle
so.
and the youth
I do not think so.
and moved to the
I do not think so. It's a misleading headline, because I think what the president is trying to do is to accommodate everybody to be part of his government. For example, when he's talking about reaching out to President Uhuru Kenyatta or Raila Odinga, he wants to tap on their experience in the interest of the country. Remember, he was talking about turning the country into a first world country. If you compare this country, in as much as it's smaller than China by so many proportions, China was considered a third world country in 1988. Okay? But based on the foundations of Deng Xiaoping, who decided to reorganize China into a modern economy, progressively right now, when you go to Shenzhen right now, you are seeing robotics, you are seeing industrialization in Guangzhou and other cities. China is an industrialized country right now. So a dream is never in vain, especially if someone has a very specific objective. Okay. And to the pronunciation of the president, we need to applaud him on the basis of his pronouncements, because those are like his intentions and they should be supported by everybody in the interest of the country, not in the interest of political interests or political expediency that so many politicians want to count as a narrative for them.
But it's very difficult not to see it through the political prism. And after the break, we'll be talking about the hope or the suggestion that the president is not done in going after the big names politically in Kenya. And it could be raiding the united opposition for another big name. Not my words, it's even suggested in one of the cartoons this morning. We'll be looking at that. You're watching Morning Cafe. Let's take a short break.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water.
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upwards, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2. What position were you? Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV 47 with me, Fred Indimuli. I'm still in studio with Waziri Kipruto Rapkirwa, Kathy Rungu, and NC Fwamba. Just before the break, we were discussing President Ruto's perceived change of tune from hustlers to dynasties, now that he's appearing to bring together the big families of Kenyan politics, the Kenyatas, Odingas, Mois now. And I know when Kirwa, you expressed a level of Disappointment, yes, but also a bit of shock that this is actually happening. But in politics, everything is fair game. And President Ruto may have just had a political masterstroke, made a masterstroke move in politics. How does this change your politics even as a united opposition? There are indications or suggestions that he could be coming for one of the big names that is also a big name in the Kenyan politics. That definitely will be a problem for you.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting. And in politics, as you said, anything is possible. And people change positions just because they find it convenient or politically expedient to take certain directions. Some of it is out of disagreement. But overall, I just want to make the following statement, that in Africa, political parties are yet to form in the institutions that we expect them to be the purveyors of democracy and good governance. And this is a challenge that we all find ourselves in. And therefore, we think of individuals as the people with the necessary instruments to make changes instead of political institutions. That's why you've realized for the last 25 years, no formation has formed the government twice in the same setup. And that's why you find those of us in the opposition, united opposition, we come from Kenya Kwanza and Azimio. And we are still finding our waters. That's why when you hear people saying, okay, there is an ease in the united opposition, it is because of that. As you know, Fred, many people know that when you form a group, you have to go through 2 other stages or 3 for you to reach a stage of performance. And therefore, these are teething problems that you find people who have been on 2 sides of the equation are coming together, and they are coming with their history. And that history is what makes a bit of an ease among colleagues, individuals. As to whether William Ruto is going to move and take any one of us from the opposition, and I don't count myself because I'm not of any political quantification worth being taken. I don't have money, I don't have a party like Gideon, and I don't have a big name behind me. Perhaps I'm the one who is trying to make my name to be carried over to my children and grandchildren. So I'm not worried that I could be one of the targets. But I don't expect any of the opposition leaders that we are with together today, including even President Uhuru Kenyatta, is going to cross over to William Ruto.
It is an open secret that the president would be interested in luring Kalonzo Musyoka and the Wiper Party. It's even openly suggested in one of the cartoons, I think, the cartoon on the People Daily, that Wiper is next. And if that happens, and if we look at the names already on the front page of the Daily Nation, if he has Kenyatta's, Odinga's, Moi's, then he adds Kalonzo Musyoka there.
So I don't know whether Kalonzo is a hustler or a dynasty. And perhaps they realize that he's one of the key players in the opposition. Should he choose to support somebody, or should we have him as our candidate? He's going to be a very formidable candidate against William Ruto, because the country, and William Ruto should also realize, it is not us who are going to remove him. It is failed promises that he has made, including the so-called moving Kenya from a third world country to first world. Yes, that is one of the lies that he's been making, one of the promises that he's falsely been making, and he's been accusing everybody of, yes?
My question is, yes. Kalonzo on the other side, yes. And how that changes your politics. Because the intention is out there. Yeah. We've seen that when President Ruto decides he's going after someone, yes. He definitely gets them. He got Raila Odinga. He's gotten Gideon Moi. He says he's coming after Kalonzo.
Yes.
Yes, if he actually manages to do that.
The Kalonzo that I know.
Game over?
The Kalonzo that I know is not going to move. Remember in Senegal, and I think it is good to be drawing from these issues. Remember in Senegal, the current president was not the front runner. There was Sonko, who was the front runner. They put him in jail, and they thought they had finished the opposition, only for the current president of Senegal to emerge, to be supported by Sonko, and Sonko is now his prime minister. So anything is possible Anything is possible because Ruto is not competing against us. He's competing against his promises, against his lies, against the stealing of public resources. Right. And if somebody doubts, e-citizen, anybody doubting 3.6 billion has gone to schools that don't exist. If anybody doubts, 691 million has gone to hospitals that have never provided the services. The list is long, but I care to say the few that I've mentioned.
All right. The united opposition is definitely not doing itself any favors. This paper quotes the DCP party leader talking about the former president and saying he's retired, he should get out of politics. The front page of Taifa Leo talks about vita baridi kati ya Fred Matiang'i wa Jubilee na yule kiongozi wa DCP. Definitely the president is also watching and saying, yes, clearly there are divisions here, and that's why he feels so comfortable name dropping. The united opposition are not doing themselves any favors.
Yeah, and I like what Waziri said. These are teething problems, and honestly, they are expected in a majority of the formation, political formations. It wasn't going to be rosy from the word go. I mean, this guy from my constituency, Madeira, has always wanted to be the one supervising everybody in the opposition, and that doesn't augur well with the majority of the people in the united opposition. But I like what you've said. Actually, I think the reason as to why William Ruto came out yesterday and, throwing spanners in the works and wanted us to believe that he's talking to certain people in the united opposition, especially my party leader, because he is still our party leader, Uhuru Kenyatta, is because of the division. Because everything that we have been doing in the united opposition, the bickering, the name calling, Rigathi Gachagua is very good at calling people names and bullying the other guys in that organization. And I think he's been observing. And I want to believe that the reason as to why he wants the country to believe that Hawachana na Hawa, they're not even in the opposition. I'm talking to them. And what that would do is that there's already emerging cracks. We have a lot of problems. And I'm sure some of our elders, especially Waziri Kirwa and others like Muhisa Kitui, these are some of the things that they have been trying to cure. These are some of the things that they have been trying to address with a lot of sobriety, and they are doing a good job. However, I want to believe that the moment some of these issues keep emerging and statements like the ones that the president, through you yesterday come out, we continue to get more and more divided. Remember Gachagua, his narrative, and that is why we keep wondering, is he really part of the united opposition, or he's actually a project of the government and the KK government which he formed? Because you cannot continue, or telling the public and telling people or making them believe that we have malls in the united opposition. And every time you listen to him, he will say that we like ourselves, he will call us, he will refer to us as a red wheelbarrow. He will stay another day and say, oh, you know what, Matiang'i should go back to Kisii and come with some small party from his, clans and ethnic groupings. So really, I think he's actually the problem in the official opposition. And because William Ruto understands him very well, he will keep taking advantage of everything that Rigathi says in terms of attacking his fellow principals in the united opposition, and he will manipulate it. He will amplify his voice. Because to me, what actually is happening is that the statements that he makes are picked very quickly by government bloggers, by people who work for William Ruto. They are amplified so that the united opposition continues to look very bad. So really, who is the project in this matter? I believe Rigathi Gachagua is actually the project of KK government.
And if we look at politics and the necessity of even public perception between the two groupings, while the cracks within the united opposition are showing, and so obviously so, President William Ruto appears to be perfecting the perception of calm politics and the fact that everyone is now on his side. Watching him lay a wreath, the mausoleum of retired President Daniel Moi in Kabarak, that was a big deal in as far as perception is concerned. How much of that do you think will move the general public towards either side? Just perception.
For me, it's evident that there's no such thing as a united opposition. You see, like the Gideon Moi move was unpredictable by his supporters who are not aware of the move he was going to make. If the president has managed to get Raila Odinga on his side, if the president has managed to have Gideon Moi on his side, and if the president has managed to talk to President Uhuru Kenyatta, who nominated some of his allies to the cabinet, and the President Uhuru Kenyatta has never come out publicly to deny that he's engaging the current president, how possible is it going to be that the united opposition will prevail under those circumstances, the so-called united opposition? Look at this conflict between the Matiang'i axis and Rigathi Gachagua. To me, that Gachagua person, as much as is appearing like he's the one who is holding the opposition together, is actually the weakest link, because he wants to ride his personal bitterness as the main platform for the campaigns against President Ruto. It will not prevail at the election time, because ultimately when we get to the elections, people will be talking about issues, and those issues will revolve around things that interest Kenyans directly. I do not think if this so-called one-term bandwagon is going to be the sole manifesto that will convince people to vote on the side of Rigathi Gachagua and that kind of arrangement. So, like Waziri Kirwa said, all these people have worked together, including Waziri Kirwa himself. They know each other, all of them. Their phone calls are away. And if people talk at night on phone, they'll not come and report to everyone that they have talked. Even Waziri Kirwa, in as much as saying that he cannot be called, he used to be friends with the president. So they can always have that conversation.
Yes.
Therefore, the president has a very open check on whom to reach out to. And I'm very sure that by the time we get to the elections, he'll have managed to reach out to the maximum number of people and interests that will confirm his re-election.
Right.
The Matiang'i factor, in my opinion, if you look at Matiang'i, even as a minister, in terms of his performance, he was performing government duties that do not in any way relate to the Gachagua's way of thinking. How are they going to work together? They'll never work together, those two groups. And in any case, according to me, if there is any negotiation, because there's only one position of the president, if someone misses the presidential position, then the next position that you can get is a cabinet position. So will you want to negotiate to get a cabinet position on an amorphous opposition outfit that is not even working together, that is already too weak, or negotiate with the existing government that has got the advantage of incumbency and possibility of winning the next election?
All right.
So the answer is obvious, that we'll rather negotiate with someone who's already organized, who has a structure and who's leading the country, because there's a possibility that you can still work together and get re-election and still get that interest that you want to pursue in an amorphous existence.
Kathy, what does say?
Yeah, I would like to respond to my friend Fwaba. You saw us do a chit-chat there.
Yes, yes.
We've been comrades, we've been student leaders together and done a lot of politics during the time of our youth. And we say, once a comrade, always a comrade. But I want to disagree with him. He said that the united opposition does not exist. The truth of the matter is that we have an opposition. The issue of unity and the issue of whether we are working cohesively, or the issue of whether this is going to hold until 2027, there could be issues. And I believe that is why we have elders, as I mentioned earlier, like Waziri Kirwa and others. But let's be honest. The official, the opposition exists because we are able to see so many problems or so many promises that have not been met, you know, when it comes to the president and the things that he has kept promising the people. And even the atrocities and many things that happened to our young people when they came out to protest, among many other issues. And we know SHA has issues, the funding model for the university also has issues. So those are things that we can see from where we sit, and we are not going to keep quiet and say that all is well. I know Fwaba supports government, which is okay, but that does not qualify him to dismiss us and say that there is no opposition. The challenges that we're having in the opposition, one of them, and this is a critical one, I think we tried to form a coalition too early. And the president is yet to form a coalition per se. What is still, trying to maneuver is what he's calling the broad-based. And you can see that in the broad-based government, he wants to accommodate everyone. It's not possible to have everybody on board. It's not going to be possible to have each and every leader or every party leader on his side. It's not going to be possible. So him and his lieutenants, they must allow the people in the opposition to operate. Because if he was not in the opposition himself, he would not be in government today.
Okay.
That is important.
But Bonakirwa, the issue is that yes, in any political formation or in any process to form a coalition, of course there'll be give and take, horse trading, and things are not always smooth. But if that is the main thing that plays out in public, that is a problem in itself. With the united opposition, we're seeing that wrangling and possible cracks are the order of the day. Most of the headlines just talk about the problems within the united opposition. Malava being one of them, that the DCP and the DAP are already fighting and haggling there. And do you think that it will be possible that this may play out in public, so publicly, and still that you'll still be able to hold on together?
Well, they say one swallow does not make a summer. And that is to say, any event that does happen at this particular time is not necessarily a prediction of the future of the current political arrangement, which is alternative to the government of the day. I have a lot of solace in the fact that I've been in this space for quite some time. Perhaps it will be 30 years since I entered politics by the next election. And in the run-up to 2002 elections, I remember there was a lot of caricature, a lot of satire, a lot of sarcasm about the position of Kibaki, Ngilu, and Wamalwa. And it came to pass that by 18th of September in the year 2002, we said we are going to be together. People were still saying this is not going to win the day. Yet later on, when there was some scuffles in Kano, those who were in LDP, including Kalonzo Musyoka, Raila Odinga, George Saitoti, and Mzee Mudiawari, we came together, and I don't say they came to us, we came together and we formed the National Rainbow Coalition. With that, that information and that experience that I've gained, and including the fact that I know better than anybody around this table what is happening in the alternative arrangement. I call alternative because we are alternative to the existing government of the day, whether we are called minority, opposition, or whichever name. I know better, and I'm not trying to arrogate myself the capacity to bring people together. I know better that the current situation is much better than the situation in the run-up to 2002.
Right.
I can assure you, whether there's going to be one of us moving away, that's not a problem because politics is dynamic. But I just wanted to assure Fuamba, but for this intervening period between now and the next election, I'm going to be with the current arrangement. Whether we win or lose, I'm happy. I will have played a role in making right the things that have gone wrong in this country.
All right. Interesting. And I think let's sample some of your views, what people are saying as far as that discussion is concerned, before we move on to the next one. And we have quite some feedback here. Has President Ruto abandoned the hustler narrative, or is he simply redefining his political alliances? That's a question we are asking on our Facebook page. Quite a number of answers. Francis Okanga says the president is on a mission of uniting all Kenyans in a bid to welcome different ideas from different leaders across the political and regional divides. Many may think it's only for political gains, but it's a very strategic and smart move that will see to it that every community, every Kenyan feels represented. Nestor Namisi Ray says this Tumbocrats are simply realigning to chew the innocent and the country at large. It has always been about them. We Kenyans need to realign and strike now. It's now or never. Manyarki. He was a hustler by then, but now he is free to mingle with the people of his class. Hey, okay. Benja Masumba says that's what Mr. Uhuru did in his bid to campaign for Raila, and Raila lost with the Azimio Brigade, uniting leaders and parting with the citizens. Well, we've seen this attempt before. Jax Kafama Bugu says a hustler narrative was a long con. It was a bridge to the presidency. It was a use and dump. And finally, okay. Daniel Shitandi, the hustler narrative was an illusion. He used the hustler narrative to hoodwink people to vote for him. He knows that there are no mama mbogas in his government, neither boda boda nor watu wa mkokoteni. My only worry is that he's still deceiving people with a broad-based thing that it's all about uniting the country. And finally, Kariuki Matitu says he wants to make Kenya a de facto one-party state. That is how it started during the Nyayo era. Then boom, in 1982, Parliament made it a de jure one-party. Remember, Ruto has engaged 80% of MPs, or so he says. These are just some of the views from our viewers. And of course, this conversation will continue. Is President Ruto abandoning the hustlers for the dynasties? Heading towards 2027, it's there on the front page of the Daily Nation. Talking about the united opposition, they've raised concerns about the ongoing continuous voter registration exercise, and that is what we want to take a look at next. It is part of the stories covered on TV47. The opposition, or the so-called united opposition, making claims about the ongoing voter registration exercise. Let's watch that story.
On day 2 of the tour of Mount Kenya region, opposition leaders pitched tent in Kirinyaga County. And while at it, they fired political barbs at the government. Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka set the tone, claiming that the ongoing voter registration exercise is already compromised.
Warundi wanachukua kura Nairobi. Waganda wanachukua kura Nairobi. Wa Ethiopia wanachukua kura even in Nairobi. I've got this message from a whistleblower called Nyakera. He just sent it to us. He has visited various registration centers, and their IBC officials say, hey, jameni, ongeni juu ya mambo haya.
What exactly are you doing to Kenya, William Ruto? I want to tell you, whatever you do, even if you take over the IBC together with your family and become the commissioners, we are ready to defend our votes, and you will be one term.
Besides accusing the government of manipulating the voter registration process, DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua claims that President William Ruto has allocated funds to purchase luxury aircraft while key sectors struggle financially.
William Ruto has sent a team to Vietnam of officers from the military and from the office of the president to purchase 2 executive jets and 8 helicopters at a cost of more than 70 billion Kenya shillings. When our children are at home, when hospitals have no medicine.
Yesterday, pockets of chaos were witnessed during the opposition's tour of Embu County. Chaos that Gachagua blamed on Governors Anne Waiguru and Cecil Mbarire. Gashagua's attack on the two drew widespread condemnation.
Kasongo amepanic na ameanza kutuma watu wetu wa Mulima kukuja kututawanyisha. Ametuma kijana mmoja kutoka kule Kiambu. Ameanza kukuja kupatia Rigiji masharti. Anaambia Rigiji ati lazima uongee na Waiguru, ati lazima uongee na Karinda. Wewe Moses Kuria wewe.
But on Sunday, he stood his ground.
If they are used to sponsor violence against the people of Kenya, we shall deal with them the way we deal with men. Because once you engage in criminal activities, a criminal is a criminal. A man or woman, it does not matter.
Even as they attack their political rivals, the opposition remains under pressure to unite amidst alleged advances from President Ruto.
William Ruto amechukua pesa, amepatia watoto wenyu wa hapa Kirinyaga na hapa Mlima Kenya ati wakuje wakatekate kura yenyu wapelekee huko mubaki na kura kidogo. Hii mtakubali hiyo?
Our principles nimebeba gulu ya kuwashikanisha. Hakuna kuachana.
Now I have very bad news for them. Habari mbaya sana kwa kina Ruto. Uwezi tena kutenganisha Wakamba na Wakikuyu na kila, haiwezekani.
Sydney Chazima, TV47.
Yeah, a lot of that has been discussed in that short clip we've already covered. It's the serious allegations about the ongoing voter registration exercise that we want to look at, but that after the break. You're watching Morning Cafe.
is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth, as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upwards, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
All right, welcome back. We want to continue our conversation this morning. Serious concerns and allegations about the ongoing continuous voter registration exercise. According to the United Opposition, the IEBC is registering aliens from Ethiopia, Somalia, and elsewhere. And this is what we want to examine because, yes, we know that the voter registration exercise probably is going to be one of the most consequential. If at all, it's able to net the 6.3 million younger voters who've been so vocal about their political leanings. But it would appear there are other byproducts or alleged byproducts of this exercise. Do you think that this is really going to affect the next election in a big way? Just the process that we are going on with right now.
First, I think I would want to treat that, whatever I've had, one of the principals in the United Opposition, Kalonzo Musyoka, say as allegations, because really, if that is what is happening, that is a very, very, very serious crime. I know before there's been attempts by members of parliament and even people in the KK government who keep telling us that they're going to rig the election. That actually sends, chills down my spine, because then I ask myself, do we really understand what we are playing with if these are some of the things that the government and IEBC and other officials are engaged in? So I really want to imagine that it is not true, but should it be true, then it means that we are playing with fire, because it is not right if we are not encouraging or if we are not making sure that our young people in this country, I know they have to be willing to do that. They have to show the willingness to register as voters, and therefore you can't really force them to become voters in this country. However, we are not going to replace them with foreigners. That would be very, very wrong. But we need to ask ourselves, interrogate and ask ourselves, why are the young people not showing interest in the voting process? Have we discouraged them to an extent that they don't see, anything good coming out of the 2027 general election? I think for us, the the leadership in this country, whether you're in the opposition or you're in government, it is very important that we encourage the young people to come out and register as voters. We have said time and time again on this bench that the median age in this country right now is 19 years. And therefore it means that a lot of responsibility is bestowed upon them. And it is very important that they register as voters. It is also too early in the day to, to conclude that they're not going to register. I think they have time, but we must engage in serious civic education. What I see the opposition claim, like we have had right now, is not in any way encouraging the young people. Because you're already telling them, you know what, whether you come out, you don't come out, you register, you don't register, this is what William Ruto and his government are doing. So let's also be very measured in what we share out there, the things we say, because we might actually make them more and more desperate, more and more hopeless. And the moment we push our young people to that level or to that extent, then what we saw last year and sometime this year can always be repeated. But then there's something I keep insisting, and I hope we are not letting that pass or assuming that it's not happening. The young people are organizing. Let's not assume that the young people we saw come out during the mandamanos of last year and this year, that they're just somewhere seated and assuming they're not more key players. Continue doing your politics. Continue, even playing with their lives, which is a matter of life and death almost, because we have a huge population of young people who are out there. They don't have jobs. We have a lot of young people who yearn for change. They continue to agitate. Why are we assuming that they are not organizing? Because that is what we seem to say. That is what we seem to be telling them, that you're not doing enough. Maybe they are doing something and we don't know, because they organize differently.
They're definitely doing something. We see them grouping up and doing all these things, but they seem to be having this disillusionment with the electoral cycle, with the conventional way of doing things, with democracy, as it were. This kind of statements seem to be perpetuating the fact that even if I register as a voter, my vote may not necessarily count in the end, that the IBC may have registered aliens, whether or not it's true. It's an allegation there. The claims by other leaders that they're going to rig the elections. And even if, because we've seen this before, that we may have a voters list as long as the entire population of Kenya, 22 million by 2002. Not all of them showed up to vote. Even if we register all of them, but then the feeling is that this game has already been rigged from the start. We will still have the same apathy come 2027.
I will start looking at the allegations made by Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka is a lawyer, and he knows very well that for you to make an allegation, it needs to be backed with the evidence, tangible evidence. Without evidence, it remains hearsay. And it's very dangerous for the country if a leader of his stature will want to spread such kind of rumors that are not backed by any evidence. According to me, I do not think if that's what the so-called united opposition will be focusing on. If they really want to mobilize their numbers, they are supposed to be down there on the ground, not addressing press conferences on unfounded allegations. They should be mobilizing their support bases for them to register as voters. How many people have we registered so far? About 20,000 or something, against 6.3 million. So they should be looking for those numbers to see if they can fill up and get the numbers good enough to compete in the next election. But such allegations are just but political narratives that do not make sense at all. Mm-hmm. About the young people, it's good that they mobilize. They need to mobilize to be politically conscious. Even during our time, we did that. Those ones before us did that, like I mentioned before. And during their time, they must also be part of the political processes. And the political processes are not homogeneous. It does not mean that if the young people are mobilizing, they're only mobilizing on the side of opposition or mobilizing on the side of the government. There are those ones, there are young people who are interested in President Ruto's re-election. Then there are those young people who think otherwise, and it's their democratic right to think so. So even if they are mobilizing, both sides will be mobilizing. And that's why I do not think there is a homogeneous youth vote. That's something that must sink in the minds of Kenyans, and they know that. There are people who are young enough and they are supporting President Ruto's re-election. Just like there are those ones who in the opposition, like Malala, who are all over, because they have their own reasons as to why they're in the opposition. You can easily see that the language they used while they were campaigning or while they were in government is very different from the language they are using right now. So, like we usually say, politics is about interest. They're just pursuing their interest so that if things run towards their luck, they might win and become part of government again and regain the positions they lost. They're just fighting for the positions lost so that they can gain them back. And it's not guaranteed that they'll get them, but a man has to fight.
All right. Yes. But such allegations have the potential of even causing voter apathy. That if Kenyans and the younger Kenyans feel that, and it may sound very good politically to excite the masses and feel that there's something happening here and there, but that is not the kind of byproduct that Kalonzo Musyoka would be hoping for, that his statements could be causing voter apathy or leaving young Kenyans feeling disillusioned.
Well, listening to the clip, because I was not in that function, it's very clear that he has a source that he quoted. And quoting that particular source, and being a lawyer, a senior counsel to boot, means that he knew exactly what he was talking about. But when you overstretch our imagination and think of what the president said about 3 months ago or so, he clearly lied to the public by saying the people of Northeastern or those with who border Somalia have been going through a vetting process. That was a lie. Why is it a lie? A county that I come from called Trans Nzoia, which borders Uganda, you have to go through vetting before you get your identification card, just because we don't want to register people who are not Kenyans. And if they have to be Kenyans, they must go through the due process of naturalization or any other process provided by the law. This therefore means that we are talking about things that we know, because the president knew he was lying, but he went ahead to lie. And that creates a bit of suspicion. Secondly, the governor of Tana River has been making the same, expressing the same concerns about people who are not necessarily people of Tana River or people of Kenya that are being brought to register as voters, to register as citizens, and with a view to making them voters. So these are not just mere allegations that we are making. We are making statements that we are causing concern, but we are not quiet on the issue of mobilizing our supporters. We don't have to mobilize by going on the rooftop of a car. We mobilize by using our agents on the ground to make sure that they register as voters, so that the decision they make is based on their strength as voters, and the decision is not necessarily to remove the current president. But as I've said before, the current president will be voted in or voted out on the basis of the promises he made to Kenyans.
Right. Yet,
and the lies he has been spewing all the time.
Yes. You must agree that there's definitely a problem of voter apathy in Kenya. That out of a possible 22 million voters registered, last time only 14,000 turned out to cast their ballot.
14 million.
14 million.
Yeah.
A whole 8 million did not bother. Even if we increase this 6.3, even if they were to register 100%, there's no guarantee that they'll turn out to cast their ballots. And it's statements like this, allegations like this, and the perception that your ballot or your vote may not count in the end, that may cause this apathy. Do you think that such statements could be deemed as a bit reckless?
Well, I don't want to call it reckless, but when you express concern, it is not just a point of you saying all the time things that you feel that will be fit for your own supporters. But also I want to tell Kenyans, whether the young people register or not, the GNC's 2024 mobilized Kenyans and told us the things that ought to be done, that they are not being done. There are enough voters out of the 8 million that did not vote in the last election that they are now determined. You know, we also have GNCs in our homes, whether they are our grandchildren, our children, and so forth. This time they are saying they have to make sure their vote counts. So this illusion that the opposition is only talking, and you know, and Famba, I'm not an English teacher, but when you say the so-called opposition, it is not only demeaning, but is misuse of the English language. It is always good to refer to people with a lot of respect, decorum, and a bit of hygiene. Because at the end of the day, we are occupying this space called Kenya, and each Kenyan has the right to express their opinion, whether they support the government of the day or whether they support the alternative government.
All right.
But finally, for this particular purpose, we are not looking for an individual. We are actually forming a team of individuals who respect each other, so that whoever is picked as the presidential candidate, should he win, will know that he's just first among equals.
Okay. And thank you for that clarification, Barakirwa. Even as we continue with this conversation, there's a lot happening in the continent, and the Gen Zs have been very consequential. And the latest is in Seychelles, where the president has also been felled after one term. And nasema Hemini aendeleza wimbi la one term Africa baada ya kutoa urais kwa kumshinda rais anayeondoka. The wave of incumbents being defeated at the ballots after one term in office is definitely increasing. There's a trend, we cannot deny it. And this is largely driven by the younger voter bloc. And in Kenya, everyone is hoping that, okay, fine, however consequential the elections will be, we do not know, that definitely this voter bloc, that demographic will be consequential in this. Are you still hopeful that, yes, we will feel their voice in 2027?
Yeah, that's true. There's a wave, and we can feel it. It's moving across Africa, not just Africa. I think we've also seen a bit of that in Asia, the Asian countries. The young people of Kenya did a commendable job, and we can always see that there are so many people who took a leave from that, they borrowed leave from that, and they saw what our young people were agitating for. Their voice was heard, in as much as at some point they were muzzled. The fact is, these young people were heard. True that there's been the one-term wave across the region, and that has been seen in the general elections, or in the elections that took place for people like Chakwera to go home. Nobody expected that he would go, and several other, including the Madagascar and other countries. For me, I want to believe that the time is ripe for the voice of the young people, both the millennials and the Gen Zs, to be heard. But the noise that we continue to make in the opposition, and even for the silent majority, a silent majority that does not align. They are not in government, they are not in the opposition. You will not see them in the rallies, but they are organizing, as we said, in other forums. But that is not enough. There's a lot of work that needs to go down. It's not just the noise, it's not just the hope, the belief that it is possible. If you look at how the Kenyan people were able to unseat Moi, and even just have, Mwai Kibaki become the president in 2002, there's a lot of work that was also happening at the grassroots level. And that is what I feel that is the missing, this time round, that is where we are missing the point. Yes, I know there's a lot of civic education that can happen on social media and using the digital platforms and all that, but I still feel that there's a lot that needs to happen at the grassroots level. We are making a lot of noise as the opposition, but people are also questioning the goodwill, the genuineness of the people, some of the people who are making noise, because at some point they were part of the oppressor. So when they come out and start speaking, the people are asking, okay, at what point did you realize? The most important thing is going to the grassroots, talking to the people, and just realizing that the young people are calling us to change. The young people are calling us to do politics differently. This issue of moving from this party, from Kenya Kwanza, then tomorrow we form another outfit called whatever we are going to call it, because I'm sure we are going to give it a name, and then speak a language that inspires hope, yet we don't live to the expectations of the young people. I think young people are really tired of those rhetorics. And the moment we realize that, for both the people in government and the people in the opposition, that is when we'll start addressing real issues that bite the Kenyan people. Because up to now, there's a lot of bickering. And especially, and I'm part of the united opposition, in as much as I'm not a principal. The young people in this country, not just the young people, including the other citizens, they are asking us to offer an alternative, just like Waziri is calling it. The people are saying, okay, we agree that this is not working. So tell us, what is the way forward? What are we supposed to do?
The feeling, Famba, should have been that, yes, this Gen Z demographic is so at the center of the next point that we make a decision as a country. Yet, if you look at the political class, including the president, it would appear everyone has decided, forget about these young people. We can do it without them. That's a feeling not like what we're seeing everywhere else, even in the Asian countries and elsewhere in Africa. Why do you think that is?
I do not think that is the situation. First of all, let me respond to Waziri Kirwa. I do not intend to demean anyone. It's only that I believe the united opposition is not united. So that's why I use the word so-called. And we already discussed those things, including the divisions between Matiang'i school of thought and Gachagua school of thought. Now back to what you talked about. In terms of youth population in Kenya, you know, if we are to compare with other countries that are re-electing or voting out their leaders, every country has its own historical background. So in Kenya, young people have participated in political processes, but within the frameworks of various political parties. I do not think, even if we have the 8 million that did not vote in the last election come to vote, even if we have them voting this time around, it's not so obvious that they'll vote one way or the other. They still vote on the basis of their political persuasions as established along the political parties that are there. So there are those ones who will vote for the opposition, and there are those ones who will vote for the re-election of President William Ruto. So whatever will decide the election is the strategy that will be employed by both of the parties. So if the party that employs the best strategy will prevail, then that is the part that will win. If you employ a weak strategy, you cannot 100% just rely on the so-called the youth vote, that the youth vote will automatically come your way for as long as you are there talking about one term. It's not going to work that way.
And yet we've seen across board that the younger generation is more inclined to pursue change.
They are
sustainability
they're
of
inclined towards
the
pursuing
system that has
change,
been.
Fred. They are inclined towards pursuing change, but they have not pronounced themselves that they are going to follow one term. I do not think if any sane person will want to follow somebody like Gachagua, that is a representation of change.
The same ones who are shouting must go.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's correct. But I think the language of the young people has not been understood because they not, to me, they don't subscribe to the one-term and the two-term kind of rhetorics. The young people are saying, we are tired. And it is really unfortunate that even some of the young people who are represented in both camps do not seem to understand. And I'm not talking about the young people like Kathy Irongo and Fwamba here. No, I'm talking about those young people who came out, made their voice heard, and what they were telling us is that this doesn't work. And they were also reminding us that this is the only country that we have. We live here, we need jobs, okay? We need functional systems when it comes to healthcare, education, and things like those. But nobody seems to understand that. We are still doing politics the old way, the old school kind of stance, you know. You just need to take to the platform, insult a little, you know, align with this person, promise that you're bringing votes from a certain tribe. I don't think we are doing the young people justice.
Yes. And probably the problem, Kirwa, even as you make your final comments, is that we're looking at the youth demographic either through the prism of the broad-based government or the united opposition. But the young people are not really exactly tied, and I agree with Fwamba that they're not tied to either of these political groupings. But whether or not they will be consequential as they've been in other countries, that's a question.
Well, I think we'll be deluding ourselves if we were to say young people are oblivious of what is happening in Kenya. They came out last year and they made a statement on the issues that ought to be addressed by any regime in power. And we are taking into consideration some of those issues so that when we funnel out our manifesto, we shall be able to address those issues in a way that we are responding to their cries. And we are not going to say that we are doing it ourselves. We are involving them as part and parcel of the movement that we believe in. And therefore, they are going to define their own future. They are going to define the way they want things to be done. And they will be part and parcel of the manifesto rolling out come the right time. It is also the height of either naivety and dishonesty for anybody to expect us now to talk about our manifesto. Our manifesto is supposed to be a promise to the people of Kenya at the right time. We are dealing with the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza, which they say they shall do the following things. And we are holding them to account on the basis of what they told us. We are not telling them to do things a different way. You told us you are going to do 1, 2, 3. 1, you have failed. 2, you have failed. 3, you have failed. Therefore, total failure means you are supposed to be evicted from the conveniences of State House and other institutions of leadership. So we are not totally oblivious of what the youth are saying. We are aware, and they're also aware. I just want to say this. In the united opposition, we have young people who are already dealing with the issues of Gen Z and millennials. And these are people that we feel they are also leaders. You know, Fred, some of the people who are now ignoring young people, they were leaders at the age of the millennials and Gen Z. Personally, I was member of parliament at the age of 31. And I was not special. There are many other people who became members of parliament, like Wahinya Ndirangu from Nyeri at the age of 22. So we are not saying Gen Zs are children who do not have an opinion. We know they have an opinion, and we want them to express their opinion in our manifesto at the right time.
All right. 15 seconds just for a parting shot. Just one line as you end.
About young people, if there is one person, if there is one leader who has really embraced young people, it's President William Ruto. In fact, those of us who are in Azimio were so jealous of the people who are in Kenya Kwanza in 2022, because majority of the MPs were elected under President William Ruto's banner, including those people who do not have any money. Some of them who are insulting him right now are people who are supported by President William Ruto, and they were young people. So it is not genuine to say that the president has not been supporting young people or the upcoming leaders.
Thank you. Kathy?
I think mine is just to keep reminding and calling our young people, because we've given the young people a lot of airtime today, especially, and I know our concern is derived from the fact that we are looking at the numbers and they are not very encouraging. So to remind them, if you have not acquired that voter's card, please go and register.
All right.
Fred, there is headline story of the Standard. Release them. I think it is the responsibility of any genuine and responsible nation to make sure their citizens are protected wherever they are. This issue of just being lackluster when they are Kenyans outside Kenya and we don't know their state. Remember, in the 70s, the late Esther Chesire disappeared in Uganda and never to be seen again. The late Kungu Karumba went to Uganda to go for his money. He was owed 22,000 at the time, which was like 400 million today. He never came back. These are some of the issues that we need to be vigilant. We may have our own differences, but when Kenyans disappear and we don't know where they are, it is the height of irresponsibility on the part of the government of the day.
All right. Thank you so much, Kipruto Arap Kirwa, who served as Minister for Agriculture in the Kibaki-One administration, Kathy Rungo, governance expert, and Fwamba NC Fwamba, political analyst, our panelists this morning. Just one comment here, Gladstone Obwamu says, each and every season has its own plans and ways. The president is just trying to bring a realignment of the political atmosphere where he wants to weaken the enemy but taking his arsenals. Just a game of cards and nothing much. Hustler narrative took him there. The populist will keep him there. Akili Mjini is all at play. Thank you so much for keeping it TV47 and for watching Morning Cafe. The headlines once again, from hustlers to dynasty. That's the front page of the Daily Nation. Release them. The Standard this morning, the story about the activists who were arrested in Uganda. Foreign jobs lie as rogue recruitment agencies mint cash. We did not get to discuss that. That's the front page of the Star. Kenyan loans in yuan surge as dollar share cut by 850 billion shillings. Kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti leo anasema vita baridi. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the state of the nation. Good morning.